Today, I am so very nervous. We are working on the most complex scripts I have made to date, and it is, let me just show you. We've got a watering can here. As you can see, it spouts out some water, pretty similar to what we're used to. And we're gonna go ahead and grab these seeds. Notice they're red. There's nothing here that's red, so I did get it to work. So if we plant the seeds and you're thinking, oh, but I remember this. No, well, let's break things. Let's go down over here, right? And we plant the seed. It's growing a tree. Throw the watering can. We've got an apple now growing after it's fully grown. And after a period of time, the apple falls. We can now grab the apple. We have an apple. It's got some gravity. I have to film this. How crazy is that? So we have a tree, it grows an apple, and you can eat it. Oh my goodness. It's absurd. And I cannot believe it works. Been working on this for, I don't know, 3 days now, maybe more. And it is fabulous. It is exciting. And imagine you can do this with cucumbers, you could do this with berries, you could do this with flowers, with the tops of the flowers growing in rather than just having the flower start grown. You can have it, grow the stem and then just grow the top. And maybe even just picking the top of the flower, only picking half of the flower. Oh my goodness, the endless possibilities here. I am so excited to show you this, but also very nervous because I'm expecting there's going to be some issues. So we're not going to use this code. In fact, we're going to start with a brand new area with brand new tree because some of these things that we're doing in here really do require us to start on the object level, because if you don't have the object scaled correctly, you run into some serious issues that took me forever to figure out. We're also working on several layers of nesting, and that was another thing I really wanted to work on this time. So we've got multiple layers for all of these different animation effects. And so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scripts. So buckle up. If you're just here to look at the scripts, I'm going to quickly open these up and you can kind of like pause and take a quick look. All right, this is the script for the watering can trigger. So pretty simple. Next we have the watering can. So a little bit more complicated in here. And I'll just scroll that down. Okay, that's it. And here are the variables inside the watering can. And here are the scripts for the seeds and the variables. Here is the script for the plant, also known as the tree. And here are the variables. You'll notice there are 2 additional fruits that I haven't actually coded in, but it was the theoretical that you could do multiple fruits at a time. And here is our final fruit and the associated variables. Build a different type of tree. We're going to build an orange tree. So we've got our tree, and now we want to build our tree trunk. A nice brown, because this is an orange tree. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with orange trees or citrus trees even. Painted at the bottom to protect them. And so we're going to do the same here for this citrus tree. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and group it. But before we do, let's go ahead and try to limit the amount of nesting we're going to do. So I'm going to grab this trigger here. And this trigger is going to represent the spawn point for our orange. So now we can go ahead and let's go ahead and start with the most even straight up object. Grab that, there we go. And now we're going to group it together. And now once it's grouped together, the first thing you need to do is make sure that this is 100 or 1.00. If it's not 1.00, we're going to have some serious issues. So we cannot scale it from this moment forward. This is the size of the object. If you want to change the size, you need to do it from inside of the group using the go into the group button. So going in like that, we can exit like that. So that is now locked in for scale. And we're going to go ahead and make an orange now. For much consideration, I decided to go with white on the top to represent the orange. And I think that actually looks the best. So we're going to go with that. Now we're going to grab through. But before we group these, let's actually go ahead and get our chomping out of the way. So we're going to go into sounds. We're going to search for eating, creature slash, and creature bite. I like creature slash for this one. So let's go ahead and increase the size of our audio. But before we do, let's go ahead and adjust it. I want it to be a little bit bassier, more like someone's eating it, and not too loud. And I definitely don't want this sound going too far, so we're going to change that down to 10. So just people really close by can hear the sound. Let's play it. Okay, too deep. There we go. Okay, perfect. So this is all set up correctly. So we'll go ahead and move that right at the bottom here. And then what we want to do next is grab a particle effects. And this particle effects we're going to use to decide what it's going to look like when you eat it. So let's try hit spark, no. Smoke poof is kind of a maybe, and I'm kind of partial to this hit ring, but I don't think I can get the right size. Oh, no, that's not bad. Okay, there's our hit ring. So we'll stick that inside. So to get inside, you just put your head inside that thing. Okay, so we've got that. And particle effect, play on start, no. Looping, no. And now we can group our objects. So put that one first, then this one, and then we'll make sure the one inside is grabbed. Perfect. And now we can group it. And there is our orange. So we've got our orange tree, we have our orange, and next we need our orange seeds. And we're going to make these ones accurate for the first time ever. So let's go ahead and grab these accurate orange seeds a little bit, give them this kind of like off white, like almost tinged by orange. Now we can group these together. So there we go. We have our orange seeds. We have our orange. We have our orange tree. Now we need our watering can. So let's go ahead and I think in this case, I want to do something a little different than a watering can, just kind of for fun. Yeah, we're gonna go with a water balloon. Similarly, we're gonna want to audio. There it is. Ooh, that one's even better. So you're gonna hit the seeds and it's gonna make this splashing sound effect. This is similar to our other apple effect where we wanna make sure it's not going too far, just nice and close. And let's take our pitch and make it a little bassier. Play that. There we go. So there's our audio sound effect. Okay, let's go ahead and grab a particle effect. Then we're gonna go ahead and change this to be water burst. There we go, water burst. Rotate up, not bad. And don't play on start, make it a little bit bigger. And let's go see how that looks. Nice. So that'll go right around the whole thing. Okay, and we're gonna go ahead and snap that in place. So now it's perfectly centered. There we go. So we got our water burst. And the next thing we need is a trigger. So this is what's going to trigger the water burst. So as long as the seeds are within this outer box of the water balloon, they're going to splash. The water balloon will splash. It will not splash unless it hits this trigger. Very similar to how we've done the watering can. We're just using kind of a different object, and we're going to make sure that the object gets despawned afterward. There we go. So we selected all the different objects. We'll now go ahead and group it together. All right, so we've managed to nest this all into a single nest. So I think the main thing I would say about nesting is make sure you're nesting it in as few nests as possible. The more nests you have, the harder it is to manage. And I think, you're going into another nest and into another nest. So let's go and start by going into this one. And we're going to make it collidable, yes, visible, yes, interactive, grabbable with physics. And we're going to make it bounce like a rubber ball. And we'll attach a script in a minute. So that is what we're going to do there. So now if I let go of it, you'll see it bounces. It might actually be a little too bouncy for a water balloon. Let's see how softwood works. Oh, that's a little more like what I'd expect a water balloon to do. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and into our seeds, and we're going to set these ones up the same way, grabbable physics. We're going to set these to fall like a feather, so they fall really soft. And unfortunately, this collider we have here is not very accurate. So you can see the seeds have fallen through. There they are. So they're like right below the surface. They're just a little too small for this one. So something to keep in mind when you're building giant objects like this. Sometimes the colliders aren't very accurate. And one option that you can do to fix that is by building smaller colliding objects like a square and making it long to represent like the top layer. So just an idea. All right, now we're going to go ahead and make this grabbable. And no two-handed grab. Use grab anchor off. Awesome. And for our orange, let's go to the orange, make it interactive, give it some physics, set it to be more like hardwood. So it doesn't really move too much. Maybe we should go with softwood. That's a little better. And then let's go to here, no two-handed grab. We'll make this avatar attachable. So this is how we're going to make it edible, is by making it sticky to everyone. So you could give it to someone else's head, and it has to attach to the head to be eaten. So if you stuck it on someone's back of someone's head, that would technically work, but it's meant to go in your mouth. Please, people. And the next thing we need to do with our seed object, since this is an opening, we're going to lock the tree. And now we should be able to get the properties out of this one. Properties. Okay. And we're going to go to attributes and label this seed. There we go. Now that this is labeled seed, we just need to go and set up the tree, which is correct, visible, collidable, none. We will make it animated, so that's how it's going to grow. And that should be all we need there. So now let's go ahead and open up the properties, just so we have these all easily available. That will allow us to easily script between them all. And so let's go ahead and start with our first script. So our first script is going to run on the water balloon trigger. So we're going to grab a script, and this one will be called water balloon trigger. There we go. Now what we're going to do is when trigger is entered by object, so when the trigger is entered by the seeds, we then will send an event to the seeds. So we'll go ahead, get our duplicate tool, drag object over here, and we are going to send grow plant. So when the grow plant is received on our seeds, they're going to grow the tree. So let's go ahead and leave that right here. And now let's go create another script. Event is received. We start growth at 0.01. So you remember how I was talking about the importance of making sure your objects are at 1, 1, 1, which is why we can't scale them after we've created them. It's because we have to start the growth at 0.01. If it goes any lower than 0.01, if you accidentally multiply it lower, which is really easy to do, it's going to break the entire script. And you won't find any errors, and it took me forever to debug this. So I am happy to give you this information, but please do not go any lower than 0.01 because you can't. And so make sure your object starts at 1. Otherwise, you might have some issues. So our next variable is going to be the object itself, which will be the plant. In this case, it's a tree. And the first thing we want to do is when event grow plant is received, we want to start by showing the object. We want to scale the object, but first we need to move it to the location of the seeds. And then we want to scale to over time. And so let's go ahead and grab plant, because this is applying to the plant. All of this applies to the plant. And we need to grab the position of self for the seeds. So we're going to grab position of object. So when the event grow plant is received, we want to move to the position of self, or in other words, the seeds on the plant, also known as the tree. Show the tree, then scale the tree to our scale. So our grow to, we're going to actually change this and make this a vector as well. It'll just simplify our code, and it'll be called grow to. It also gives you some additional options in how you want to grow. So normally you'd just be growing, like in our previous script that you saw that I had created, it grows uniformly. But if you wanted to, you could now make it taller and longer rather than making it just the same width and height. So you could have slightly variations to a similar tree, which is kind of a unique idea. So we're going to grab grow to, and we need to first start by scaling it to. As soon as it arrives, we need to scale it to. So scale to the grow start on plant. Okay, so scale to grow start on plant, move to position of self on plant, show plant, and then grow over a period of time. So new variable known as time to growth. And time to growth, we're going to default at 5 seconds for building this and just testing it out. Okay, scale with time to growth on plant. And then what we need to do is send an event to the plant. So once this time is up, we want to send an event with delay, and then this will be another number called grow fruit after. And this one we're going to default to 2 seconds, which means 2 seconds after it finishes growing, it's going to grow the fruit. You could set this to be a lot longer. This is just so we can do our math a little bit easier for testing. And then we're going to go ahead and grab the plus button. So after how much seconds, it's going to be time to growth. So we're going to start with the basic amount of time it's going to take to grow, and then growing the fruit after it's fully grown. And this is not going to apply to self. We're going to send this event to the plant, because the plant is where we're going to run the fruit code. So we'll send grow fruit to the plant after this amount of time. And definitely think we're missing something in this code, so we'll come back to it when I remember. But for now, that's it. Vector initializer requires 3 parameters. Okay, so what I thought was a vector 3 wasn't a vector 3. So to kind of quickly show you how I did this, we've got to grab some multiplication and undo that. Okay, so my apologies, I was a little bit wrong. So what we've done here is we created 2 number variables, set them to grow to for 1, grow to 0.01. We do have to scale this evenly. And then we come over to here and grab multiplication. And we're going to set this up because the vectors are not the exact same. So a scale vector doesn't match a position vector. And so unfortunately, we couldn't use those interchangeably. That was my mistake. So anyway, we're going to scale it to 1 and grow start at 0.01. And if we come back over here to our maths tab, we can grab the scale of object and use that to create our grow to. So here we're going to need to recognize that when this scale runs through here on plant, it will have changed the scale of the plant. So when I try to multiply it by 1, that's actually inaccurate. So we need to multiply it by 100 to get it to grow. So scale of plant then is multiplied by 100, because we're going to have shrunk it to 0.01, and then we need to multiply it by 100. So we're not multiplying it to be 100 times. It's just going to look like that, but it sure does sound funny, doesn't it? Okay, so now looking at this again, what we've got is we have the grow plant being received from the seeds. Then we're going to scale the plant to 0.01. So our grow start is at 0.01 for the plant. So it's going to scale it down. It's going to move it to the position of self on plant, and we're going to show the plant. So what we're going to do here is we're going to start by scripting it in. When the world is started, we're going to hide the plant. So this way, when you're looking at it, it's not hidden, but now it's going to start hiding the plant every time. There we go. So now the plant will be hidden on world start, so that way we can show it when it's time to grow the plant. So we don't have to set it as hidden inside the object itself. We can set it here inside of code, which is kind of clean. Scale plant, then show plant, scale of plant times grow to. So now we're going to grow over the amount of seconds we set, which was 5 on the plant. We're going to grow it to its original size, and then we're going to send event grow fruit to the plant after this amount of time. And so now we're going to grow the fruit, and grow fruit, should not be being sent to the plant. It needs to be sent to our fruit. So we're going to go ahead and define fruit, and fruit is an object. And so we'll send that to the fruit. And now we're going to write the code for when grow fruit comes in on the fruit. So we'll go ahead and grab another script. So the question is it possible to use this code for the fruit? The problem with this, and the reason we need to change this, is because we want the fruit to be edible, and this tree is definitely not edible. So while the code is remarkably similar, we do need to start over, but we don't have to start completely over. So let's throw this one out and go ahead and just duplicate this guy. And now let's use the grow fruit command inside here. So that was not the water balloon script. That was the plant script, or actually the seed script, right? Okay, so we've made some advances here that are actually making this script a little bit leaner, a little bit cleaner, but I want to roll back to our water balloon trigger because there's a few more things we need to do when the trigger enters before we forget to do this. So number one, we need to play all the visual effects on the water balloon. And then we need to hide the water balloon. So we need to go and create object variable, and this will be the whole water balloon, not just any single part of it, but the entire water balloon. And then we need another object, and this is going to be the sound effect. And then we also need another object, and this is going to be the visual effect. Okay, so now we want to hide object, we want to play sound, we want to play visual effect, and let's go trigger these in. So play sound effect, play visual effect, and hide the water balloon. So this will hide all of the elements inside the water balloon. So as soon as it hits splash, and we're done. So then we send event grow plant to the object, and then the seed receives grow plant, and when the plant comes in, it comes in really small. We then move it to the position of the seed. We then move the plant we show the plant, and then we start scaling the plant. And then after the plant is grown, we're now going to send an event directly to the fruit. So we've completely cut out the tree, which is amazing because it's like removing an entire script block from over there. I'm really proud of this. So what we're going to go ahead and do is go and work on the grow fruit. And so for grow fruit, it's going to be very similar to what we had created here. So we've just duplicated it. And now that we've duplicated it, we're going to go ahead and call this fruit. When world is started, hide plant. No, in this case, we're going to need some new variables. So we're going to use not fruit. We're not going to use the plant variable. And we don't need the grow fruit after. We do need time to grow. So let's go ahead and start this. When the world is started, we want to hide self. So go ahead, hide the fruit itself. And then we want to scale the fruit. So we want to scale self, and we want to apply this to self, and we want to move to the position of new object, and this is going to be the tree, or we'll call this plant trigger, since it can be used across more than just trees. Plant trigger. All right, so move to position of plant trigger on self. Then we want to show self. And then we want to scale self times the growth over time to grow. So this is going to grow it to 100% of size, and we also want to make sure that applies to self. Then we want to send grow fruit. Nope, we don't want to do that. What we want to do is send event, and we'll just go with the classic my event. And we're going to need to move this up so we stop triggering that. So send my event to self after time to grow, and plus, I guess we will need this, but this is going to be called fruit interact. And so what this is going to do is after 2 seconds, after it's grown, so after it's fully grown, after 2 seconds, it's going to now fall to the ground. It's going to become an interactable object that we can now grab. And so then when my event is received, we're going to go ahead and set simulated on self to true. Wonderful. I think it's time we go ahead and give that a try. Oh, we're missing one other thing we should add, which is when object is attached to player, we need to new variable object. This will be the visual effect, and this one will be the object sound effect. And then we're going to play both the visual effect and sound effect. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to play sound, play visual effect, play sound effect, and then once it's been eaten, we want to disable the object. And so we're going to go ahead and set simulated to false, and we're going to first move it by, and we're going to move this down and out of the world. Presuming people are standing on the world, this will move down by 10, and therefore out of the world and unavoidable, or avoidable from all the people. So you could set a hard location where you want it to go to, but we're just going to move it down wherever it is, and that'll do. Okay. Now let's go give it a try. So we're going to go ahead over here and start with our water balloon. All right, so under water balloon, we're going to need to go into the water balloon so we can get all of the things we need, because, oops, undo. What we're just remembering is that we actually need to run water balloon on the water balloon trigger, not the water balloon. So there we go, water balloon trigger. And we want to make sure this happens on objects tagged seed. And then we want to connect this to the water balloon. So let's start by dragging that over here. So it's connected to the water balloon. We also need the visual effect. We'll go ahead and grab the visual effect. And then we need to grab the sound effect just down here. Oops. There's the sound effect. There we go, sound water splash. That's all connected in correctly. And let's close out of that. Back out of this object. Next, we're going to go into our seed. And so in our seed, we are going to run the code seeds. Oh, not seeds, seed. Okay, make sure this is tagged seed as well. Perfect. And then we need to connect to the plant, which is this one right here. So we'll grab our tree, connect it into here. Time to grow 5, grow to 100, and then we need to tag our fruit, which is here. Go ahead and grab our fruit. And then under our fruit, we're going to use the fruit code, and we need to go into our tree, and then we'll go into the tree, but we first need to unlock it. We can close out of it, open it back up, and then head into the tree, grab the trigger here, and tie that in under plant trigger. And then we need to go into the fruit itself. Go ahead and grab, oh, right, we gotta leave our tree. So close out of the tree, come back to the fruit properties, and we're gonna go in here Go into the fruit, grab the audio. So we'll go ahead and drag in our sound effect. And then we need to get our visual effect. It should be right inside, so we'll go ahead and grab that. And then grab our particle effect and bring that in here. There we go. All right, I have the lingering feeling I am missing something. But without further ado, let's go ahead and give it a go. Go ahead and grab that water balloon. There's our seeds. So theoretically, we drop the water balloon here and it splashes, and something tells me it didn't get the memo about being extra small. So that's funny. Let's go see if we can fix that. So we're going to go ahead into the seed code, and we're going to go over here, and since apparently that worked, we'll go ahead and do that, and let's try it out again. We're going to go ahead and grab our water balloon. We're going to splash it down, which then grows a tree. Tree grows to a normal height. Relatively normal height. And I don't see an orange. And if we check seed, seed is sending grow fruit, and fruit is receiving the event grow plant. It's always something simple like this. So whenever you feel like frustrated and you can't figure it out, you kind of just need to go through your scripts and read them, just fine tune, like grow fruit versus grow plant. It is such a minute detail, but let's go see if that fixed our issues. Go ahead, stop, reset, play. Come down here. I'm gonna go ahead and grab our water balloon. Gonna grab our seeds, gonna chuck our seeds out. Okay, that didn't go very far, but look at that. We have a tree growing. The height is stupendous. We're happy with this. And we got a fruit, look at that. It's growing. The only issue here is that because of the way I set it up, you can pick it early. So we're gonna have to go reset our code back to where it originally had it. But look at that's a nice little looking orange. Oh, and it doesn't have gravity. Oh, and it does that. That's a thing it shouldn't be doing either. So let's go see if we can, yeah, let's go see if we can fix that. Stop, reset, play. Okay, so what's happening is we had the code all set up right, and then we adjusted it all. So let's go back to when world is started. Let's go to here. We're gonna go ahead and set simulated back to being false when world starts, and then we're not gonna use set gravity when my event is received. So what we are gonna do is set simulated to be true, and it'll show self, then it enables simulation so we can then grab it. And when attach starts, we're going to set simulated to false, play visual effects. It's gonna move, but before we move, we should play move to false, then play all these we should play these visual effects first. Yep. Okay. Visual effects, sound effect, and then we move. And then we set simulated to false. Or we set simulated to false and then we move. Yep, okay. Let's try that out. I think we have just about got it. So, go ahead and grab our water balloon. Throw that down on our seed. We're gonna watch our beautiful tree grow up to be a beautiful orange tree. And now we have a little orange that we cannot interact with. Wait for it, and any second, we can now grab it. We got this little orange, looks like an orange. Gravity is turned off in the orange, that's why we're not able to do that, so that's my bad. And it's definitely still doing this weird moving thing where it's moving us around when we eat it. So that might be due to our functions here inside the fruit. So let's go see if we can't set this up correctly. Okay, so for the fruit, let's go ahead and stop the world. So we want to turn collisions on. We want to make it interactable. Physics, gravity, and softwood. Okay, let's go ahead and give that a go. Stop, reset, play. And grab a water balloon, grab our seeds, and this time we're going to go over here and plant these seeds in our plot of land, because why not? Boom! Interesting how that grows a little bit differently over here. See that? And then it kind of fixed. Oh, but there's our orange growing. Oh, and it falls. That's nice. And when we eat the orange, we still move around. Okay, so this moving around effect, I don't think this is real. This has happened to me a couple times recently, but when I reload the world, it tends to fix the glitch. So I'm gonna do that and I'll be right back. Okay, when grab starts, set gravity to true. On attach, start with player, hide self, move, set simulated to false. Play sound. Okay, let's try this out. We'll go ahead and hide self, move, -10, and then set simulated. Go into our fruit. Okay, so what we're gonna do is just kind of copy it, which was hide self. So let's go over here, grab hide, hide self, and then we move, then we set simulated, and that seemed to work on our apple. Let's check and see if it works now. Stop, reset, play, and come in here, grab our water balloon, throw it on our seeds. Wait for this beauty to grow. It grew, we got our orange. Eat our orange, oh my gosh, and that works. Wow, it's sometimes it's just those little things. So as you can see, all it took was just rearranging the code. So sometimes, I don't know what to tell you, you gotta just keep trying. Coding is not easy, scripting is not easy, and it's sometimes the little nuances. So there was one other thing I wanted to do, just kind of as a quick bonus idea. This has been 2 hours. My headset is died, but there's one little perfection I wanted to make. When we throw the water balloon, the splash isn't perfect. So what I want to do is grab this, go into properties, and go inside, go into our script here. Now we have the visual effect over here, and we have the water balloon. What we could do, yeah, I think this will work. So let's go ahead and try it out. So what we're gonna do is come out of this and go into our water balloon trigger script. Instead of running the water balloon effect on the object water balloon, what if we run it on, so we're gonna delete this one, then we're gonna back out of here, close out of that, go into our seeds, and in the seeds, we're going to go inside and we're going to attach a water splash particle effect. Get nice size, properties, make this water burst. There we go. Now center that right here. Go ahead and do that. Don't play on start. And now we're just going to save it out here so we can reference it in a minute. Okay, and so we're actually going to remove the script reference for visual effect on the trigger, and instead we're going to go into this trigger and we're going to not play sound effects. We're not going to move to this position. What we're going to do is send event grow plant to object. So we've already done the sending of the event. What we want to do is then add another variable which was going to be called an object, and it's going to be a water visual effect, okay? And then as soon as we play, we're going to play the visual effect the moment this all happens. So it'll be the first thing that happens is play the water visual effect. So now the water balloon is going to look more like it splashed and broke behind the water balloon. So that should look pretty good. So now we just need to go into here and tag that right on into our water balloon, which seems to have disappeared. Oh, there it is. Grab that. It seems to disappeared into a giant orange particle. Anyway, so there it is. And let's go ahead and reset our world again and give it a go. Come down here, grab our water balloon, throw it down. Nice. It's not as accurate as I'd love the water balloon to be, but until we get more accurate collisions from water balloons, that's about as good as it's going to get. We got a nice orange growing there. And if you wanted the orange to grow from the center, you would do the same thing we did with the tree, except for make the object invisible. So we could do that real quick. Yummy. And so here, I'll show you how to do that. So we'll go stop, reset, play. Go into our orange right here. Go properties. And go into the object. And all we want to do is increase this. And so instead of using a visual object, I like to use triggers. We're going to go ahead and place that up there. So this moves the center of the object down into the middle here, back down a little bit lower, and then go into the trigger and make it not active, back out of the object. And now the center, see how the center here is in the center? Now it's going to grow from the center outward, which is how we're going to get that really clean look. Then go into the tree and grab the trigger and drag it up. Okay, probably right about there. Back out and give it a go. Stop, reset, play. Okay, grab our water balloon, throw it down on our seeds. Oh, I missed. Thought I was getting so good at that. Nice, that one actually looked really good. Nice growth there. Tree grows up. I think I'd like to make this tree a little bit bigger, but look at, you can see how that's growing right from the stem. That is wonderful. It's gonna drop. We're gonna eat it. And that's nice. So let's try and fix this tree a little bit because I think we need to make this a little bit taller. So let's go back into our tree here. Go properties, go into the tree. Let's just go ahead and drag that down and see if that was enough to get this tree a little bit higher. Let's go stop, reset, play. So as you can see, there's just a little bit of fine tuning you can do after the fact that just really makes things look a little bit cleaner. And we're gonna go ahead and grow that here again. And boop. Nice. Now the tree is gonna grow a little bit taller than me. Perfect, that's the height I was looking for. So now we've got the right height. We got the orange coming in nice at eye level. And we can walk underneath the tree even. We can grab our orange. We can chuck our orange. And someone else could eat the orange that's been chucked. And yeah, so there you have it. That's how we're gonna grow a tree. Looks pretty nice. And I think you see that kind of like glitching that happens further away. And then it kind of also kind of happens when it's growing up. The easiest way to fix that is if we make this ring just a little bit bigger. So you could just make it just a hair bigger. Or what you could do is remove the brown so that this is just a solid white, and so that way there's no bleed through and it just ends right there. So there's just a few options, and like I said, there's always little niceties we can do to make things look a little bit prettier. I hope that has really helped you guys get along with like growing things, nesting objects, how you're going to create nested objects like that to make them as compact as possible, and kind of planning for object nesting. And then using the variables from inside of the object as well as the triggers and all of that. So anyway, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Again, this has been like 3 days or more of work to get to this point. And being able to duplicate it, it took like 2.5 hours just to recreate this code. So, I mean, it is a lot of work, but it's a great feeling of accomplishment when you're done. So I wish you all the best of luck. And if you have any trouble, please don't hesitate to reach out. Good luck, have fun, and bye. See you in the next one.